Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I really want to answer this question because it's something that really bothers me that people say. There's a bunch of things I will say about it, but the question was brought up in a debate. Um, it was talking about morality and people that do things under the name of God. And one of the examples that someone brought up was that Hitler killed a lot of people in the name of God, blah, blah, blah. And so the question I really want to ask, because it bothers me when people say this, is was Hitler a Christian? Um, so I'm gonna give you a little bit of background and tell you, and then you could decide for yourself. But I'm gonna give you my answer, which I think is very logical and very clear. So was Hitler a Christian? He was raised by a skeptic, anti-clerical father and a devout Catholic mother. So already right there, you have Catholic, so it is possible that he was a Catholic, but at the same time, he has a skeptic father who's anti-clerical, meaning he was against the church. He did not, he was a skeptic. He didn't really believe. He had no beliefs. And so right then and there, you have two possibilities: either he was, or he wasn't, just based on his, upbringing. Um, the next thing that people will say to say that he was a Christian was that he was baptized as an infant and confirmed at the age of 15. So obviously that's some pretty hardcore evidence that shows that, all right, yeah, he was baptized as an infant and he was confirmed at the age of 15. So all signs are pointing to, yeah, he was a Christian. So let's see what else we have here. So next thing I have written down here is that he remained friendly with the church in his rise to power. So what does that really mean? He remained friendly with them. Basically, he knew that in Germany at the time, right before World War II, the church had a lot of power, especially in the government. And he knew that if he wanted to get elected and be in a position of power, he would need to be in good standing with the church. So obviously, regardless if he was a Christian or not, whatever it was, he was going to be friendly with the church so that they would help him get into power. Um, so here's where I start to say that Hitler was not a Christian. Most of those closest to him understood that he was against Christianity. In fact, Joseph Goebbels stated that he hates Christianity because it has crippled all that is noble in humanity, and that was written in the Goebbels diary. In Mein Kampf, Hitler acknowledges a creator but refuses to believe in a Christian God. So right then and there, you already have a couple of statements that are just straight up against Christianity. Um, so here are some people that are close to Hitler. You have Joseph Goebbels, who I just mentioned. He was like Hitler's right hand man. He was by him. He was with him all the time. Um, and again, he wrote the Goebbels diaries, which had a lot to do with Nazi Germany and Hitler. And in it, he basically said that Hitler hated Christianity. He didn't. I mean, if you were something, why would you hate it? So obviously, from Joseph Goebbels' standpoint, he was not a Christian. Um, Albert Speer, who was the chief architect for Germany, and then Martin Bormann, who was his personal secretary, the person that's probably closest to him. They all said that he despised Christians. In fact, in Hitler's Table Talk, which is something that was between Martin Bormann and Hitler, where they would talk to each other and just talk about certain issues. Hitler himself, like these are straight words from Hitler. Hitler described Christianity as humbug and absurd. So, was he a Christian? Absolutely not. And had he really truly been a Christian, I really don't think that he would have done any of the horrible things that he did. Um, so again, when people say that Hitler did something in under the name of God, it's not true. Hitler was against God. In fact, in Mein Kampf, the Goebbels diaries, and a couple of other, and Hitler's Table Talk, they actually point towards an idea that Hitler actually wanted to replace the church himself, almost like he wanted to remove God and be a God himself. And this was one of the views of Hitler. So that is not a Christian view. Therefore, Hitler was not a Christian. But I will say this. Frank Turek, a great Christian apologetics, he says this a lot. It was actually a debate against David Silverman where this question was actually brought up of people killing and doing horrible things under the name of God. And David Silverman said that Hitler did all of the horrible stuff under the name of God. Now again, I tell you that's not true, but Frank Turek told him this. He said, "You can't judge a religion or faith or anything by its abuse." So let's say Hitler was Christian, which he was not. But if he was, you can't judge an entire Christian faith, or even Muslims, um, Jews. You can't judge it by its abuse. And I'll say the same thing for people who are even atheists, because I believe that Hitler was probably an atheist. So I could just turn around and make the argument, oh, well, all atheists are bad because Hitler was an atheist. But that's just not true either. You can't judge a belief by its abuse. And that's what a lot of people tend to do with Hitler. So, one, he wasn't a Christian. But even if he was, you can't judge Christianity based on what one person did wrong. You have to look at it as an entire whole. So that's my rant on, was Hitler a Christian? Again, was he a Christian? No. And he himself even said it. And the people closest to him all said that he despised Christianity. So was Hitler a Christian? No, he was not.